Hello ladies, gentlemen, and otherwise, what's up? This is D3vious, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. In the background you're going to be seeing some Planetside 2. Not sure exactly what kind of footage just yet, but the point is I'm going to be talking about Planetside 2, and something ZorantheBear put out, who is actually in my outfit, which I didn't know until kind of recently. He basically mentioned that Planetside 2 is kind of in a declining state. I don't want to use the term dying, because I don't think Planetside 2 is dying, but that's the way he put it, and to a certain extent, I'm forced to agree. The point that Zoran made was that it's just not putting out new content like it should be, like we were promised. And I'm not going to go onto what the devs said or what all is going on, but I will say that I expected more from Planetside 2, and what I expected I am not getting. And that's fine. Maybe I was expecting a little bit too much, but I'm tired of capping the same base. Just as Zoran said in his video, that's all we do. We run around, we kill a few guys, capture a base, camp the spawn, rinse and repeat. And the scale is amped up for amp stations, yes I made a pun, and amped down for the little bases between the amp stations, biolabs, and tech labs. And there's no point to it. There's no win state. I mean, yeah, we can own the continent, get a little buff to our resource gain. Woo. It's got no point, and it doesn't feel like we should be doing any of this stuff for any particular reason. I don't understand why, and the reason I haven't been playing is because I don't feel like grinding it out, walking 10 minutes or running 10 minutes between bases, because yes, I'm one of those idiots that runs instead of just grabs a vehicle, but I don't feel like traveling for 5 to 10 minutes, getting to a place, fighting it out, and then leaving. Why did I just get this base? What was the immediate reward for it? What did I do? So I've devised, or not necessarily devised, but I've kind of contemplated a little bit and thought about some ideas that I have for basically anything. Basically something new, something we can really fight for and enjoy. And I have these in a list, and I'm going to go down it. I'm going to read you exactly what I wrote, which is kind of just chicken scratch. This is what I need to get it down on paper before it warps itself in my mind. And then I'm going to talk about exactly what I mean. So, okay. First one, you know that gun in the amp stations or tech labs? I forget exactly which one, but there's this big cannon that's just sitting there looking sexy, and we can't do anything with it. My thought process is move that bad boy to the top of station and or lab and strap it on, then make capturing it a priority. You could use it as an artillery strike with, say, a half-hour cooldown to make it fair, and use it to bombard a nearby or not necessarily nearby area. Maybe just give it a range, or maybe put someone in it and make them actually aim that little thing or big thing. My point is we could utilize the cannon in the stations and or labs very, very easily, and it would be fantastic. And maybe we could do something extra with the biolabs, maybe some kind of dome shield around the area, make it harder for people to capture. I don't know. I don't necessarily know what specifically we would do for the biolabs, but I know this would be really cool to have for the amp stations. Something that Zoran mentioned in his video was an oil rig map or some kind of city on the water. And I think that's a very good idea, but take it a step further. Instead of making it like just an oil rig, let's make it with like 7 to 20 different layers laterally. Make it, you know, maybe a ½ kilometer square, but make it pretty much just as big, if not bigger, height-wise. Make it to where it's a light assault dream. Or not. Or maybe make the distance to jump between levels just too much for a light assault. Or maybe make it to where you really got to jump through some hoops. But the point is, an oil rig would be a really cool idea. That's something that I would play the hell out of. I would never leave. And honestly, it's a really good idea. I mean, especially once naval combat gets in, whenever that happens. I'm not even gonna take naval combat into this. I'm just when I wrote these out, I was thinking of, okay, what are the assets we have right now? How can we use them? And a couple I kind of went off the handle just a little bit, but I'm trying. I'm trying to keep these kind of, you know, basic and not crazy. So maybe, just maybe, if SOE or anyone on the dev team hears about them, maybe they'll implement one of these ideas or something like it. So, guys, spread the shit out of this. If you play Planetside 2 at all, or if you have any kind of love for it, maybe you're hoping that the general performance will upgrade after a while, and maybe you'll be able to play it on your system. Please make this, tell people about this, because trust me, the game's getting boring right now. Next up, smaller continent updates between big ones to break up the massive continents. What I mean by this is, we don't need a Hossin, an Indar, an Esamir, and Amerish. We don't need a huge 64 kilometer square continent every time the game goes through an update. Cut the size in half, or maybe even in a quarter, and make it kind of Battle Island-ish, but bigger. Make it to where we have a good area to fight, but the content is more. Like, there's more of it. There's more maps that we can fight on, but they're not necessarily as big. Still come out with the big content, so I'm not saying deal with them completely, but say you need a way to connect Amerish and Indar, and you want to put some kind of something between them. Make an entirely new continent that is totally underground, where maybe on, actually just all through it, it has those purple crystals of Araxium all through it. That would be freaking badass, man. And make it to where you have to fight your way through the tunnels, and there's these big caverns with machinery and all that. Make it like a mining outpost, and you just have to fight your way through it to get to the next continent, and that could be a really cool way to connect the two. Maybe not necessarily through warp gates either, so you don't have to go through the warp gate. It offers a more dynamic feel to the combat, I would assume anyway. I have to fix this chair in a moment. Okay, next up. I've heard a lot of people talking about bringing the ants back, the energy transports. I would say let's do that, yes, but give us an option to put them in the air. That's just a footnote that I kind of put on when I was typing out like just rapid fire going crazy ideas, but it's something that I thought would be kind of cool. Of course, make it to where they're either really slow and really lumbering and you have to really protect them, and they carry a lot, or make them kind of smaller and they carry less than the actual ant. But that's something that I'm not paying attention to too much right now. Next up is the big one. This is something that I really want to see, and I rate this as we have to have this if they're going to add in orbital strikes or anything similar. An orbital map with an artillery option from an orbital station. Capture means use, massive cooldown. Now, I'm not saying massive like 2-day cooldown, but I am saying maybe an hour or two between when you can use the damn thing. But it would be a very powerful device. Having this would make any faction, it's ridiculously more effective on whatever continent they start pointing it at. And that would be its only use in my mind when creating this idea. But it would be something to fight for besides just go capture the point and hold it and move on. I'm tired of that. I want to do something where I get to blow some stuff up in a more unconventional way. Give me a big cannon in orbit that I can point at an enemy faction and pull the trigger. And of course there would have to be limitations on this, like maybe you'd have to have someone on the ground with a ridiculous cost beacon or something that they would have to mark the area with. But you would have to... This would be something that outfits could fight for viably. Like, okay, we really need to break this stalemate, but we're kind of having some issues with the enemy armor. An orbital strike would be amazing. Okay, get an infiltrator to move in, mark the area with an orbital beacon. Now, outfit mates on the station, or whoever's in control of the station at the time, would be able to see that beacon and decide, okay, do we want to shoot at that, or do we want to try and use maybe some kind of targeting system that would take a full 5 minutes to lock onto an area. And again, this is also a viable option, but the beacon would be much faster, it would offer much more accurate fire, and it would just it would basically give you more to do. Clearly, I am very passionate about this particular idea. Plus, it would kind of give us an option to maybe have a spacewalk option? Maybe? I don't know. Ignore me. But, yeah, I could see that being all kinds of ridiculous. I mean, maybe it won't be all too realistic because they'll have to make it to where using explosives won't immediately kill everyone, but this would be very heavily infantry-based, clearly. And it would pretty much be a rush map, but holding it would be kind of easy. Unless the enemy really knows what they're doing. Like, there will be weak points that you can hit. It's very difficult to describe in my mind the way I see it, but I've got a lot of it worked out. And if you guys want to, I can dive into each of these in an individual video later on. Okay. Talking myself out. Okay, next up. An underground network and cave system map. I think I actually addressed this one. Like the crystal caverns between, or the crystal caverns of mining station between Esamir and Amarish. That would be freaking fantastic. Make that with all of them though, or maybe give the option, or just make it with certain ones. Give us different options to go for different continents. That would be fantastic. Because I've already addressed that. I'm just gonna move on. Artillery sabotage. Make it possible, instead of locking us the frack out of all of the stations we don't own, make it possible so if an enemy captures an artillery piece, a group of infiltrators, very coordinated infiltrators, can get into a base, hit maybe, what the hell are they called? IMCOMs, I think. Basically, get to computer terminals where they can delay the firing of an artillery piece. So if there's the big one up in orbit, they can delay it by 5 to 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how they go about hacking these terminals and messing with the systems. And you'd basically have to eradicate them before you can effectively use the weapon. And it would be the same way on a smaller scale with the AMP stations and or tech labs. And it would just be like, yeah, clear the trash out of our base, then okay, now we can actually use the weapon, and oh damn, the weapon's not ready on cooldown yet. Wait, it should be. We've got rats, boys, let's go hunting. That would be something that I would really love to see, and it would be, I think it would be a lot of fun. Now, to get to the orbital stations and or different areas, we need a way to do that, so I'm proposing kind of like an orbital elevator or some kind of mass teleportation device. Mechanically, they would work the same, but you know, different ways of explaining it. I think an orbital elevator would be really cool to see. Like, just see the spire sticking up straight into space to the station. That would be fantastic, and I would love that. But I'm not necessarily sure we're going to see that anytime soon. We'll find out. And if we want it bad enough, maybe SOE will kind of, yeah, maybe they'll humor us. Okay, the next one is kind of a big one, and now that I look at it, it's really not that great of an idea. But have large mobile bases in large bases that can be captured or hacked, similar to the Mammoth in Halo 3, that big thing that rolled around, or some kind of super sunderer, able to spawn small vehicles, just flashes, maybe harassers, in a very, very limited fashion. Like maybe 1 per 5 minutes or something, or some kind of other cooldown. So you're not spamming them behind enemy lines, because that would be ridiculous. And it would have decent defenses and just be generally hard to kill. And this would give people something to really protect in a base. I'm not sure exactly how it would work to keep people from using it. Maybe just have a couple of them spawn at the warp gate, and outfits can roll them out and around however they want. Maybe have some kind of outvote system for the pilot in case he's being an idiot. I don't know how it would work, but it would be a big kind of community thing that would... It would just be awesome to see. Now for another big one. Maybe a kind of flying saucer base in the sky that moves around on a predetermined path on each continent that can provide armor, air spawn, and delivery to a limited degree. So a buddy of mine was talking about the Lodestars back in Planetside 1, and how it was so awesome to bring in a whole armor battalion with pretty much no warning. And I thought, you know what would be really cool is if, and I never played the game, so it would be really cool if we'd be able to do something like the C-130s. You know, like just come in wicked close to the deck, then drop them out, have them pop shoots, and boom, Vanguard on deck, ready to rumble. Maybe two. You never know. But then I started thinking about that, and like, maybe that'd be a little bit too difficult for most of the continents. But then I got to thinking as well, what if you just dropped a tank from orbit, or dropped a tank from high up? And this mobile base in the sky would be able to do that. Again, to a limited fashion. I'm not really sure how this would work, but I would really like to see some kind of different base. Biolabs, we all know what those are like. They're a cluster grind, and we all know it. And the tech labs and amp stations, they're fun, but I need something different. I need something that will just mix things up ridiculously. And this mobile base in the sky, this could do it. Maybe if it can't move along on a predetermined path, if the technology isn't there for it to just continuously hover around, then maybe have it, looking at the coding, maybe have everyone inside transported to a different instance, and then make the move, and then put everyone back, and during the move it would like lock up or something to where you can't have people in it, or maybe it'll just, you know, like teleport across the sky. I don't know. I don't know how it would work, but I really want to see something like this. I apologize for getting all excited and talking myself out, but I'm really hoping at least one of these gets put in. Okay, last one that I have currently. Make a central point on each map. An example, the Crown on Endar or the Ascent on Amrish. And I'm not going to make a comment about Esamir because I haven't fought there in months. I'm not joking. And that would lead up to the saucer. So maybe make that or multiple points able to teleport up to the saucer, and maybe make that kind of like a milestone. To capture a continent, once we get actual continent lockdowns in place, make that one big-ass accomplishment. Like, you get up and you capture the orbital. Okay, guys. Excellent job. We got a massive, massive bonus to capturing this continent now. Like, we can do this very easily now. We got to keep the enemy from capturing it, otherwise they're going to snowball back at us and we're going to lose. So you capture the station in the sky, and then you secure the station completely. All of the bases that connect to it are now owned by one faction. Alright, awesome. Now we have a massive advantage. We could push to the end of the continent and then lock it out completely. We own it, we own everything, and we have it locked down fairly well. Now for the flip. Instead of just doing this, and this is a thought that just occurred to me, make it to where you can enter the orbital from a different continent or a different spawn in or something. Basically just make it possible to invade the station without having to go through the without having to go through the actual continent. So completely locking down the station, crazy milestone, but it's not an absolute win. Keep in mind, the benefits the station would offer are very limited. Oh, I just had a thought. Make it to where you can get to this this aerial semi-orbital. I don't know what to really call it, but like this hovering station in the sky. Make it to where you can get there from the orbital. That would be freaking awesome. Okay. Before I start ranting too much, I'm going to cut it off here. So guys, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for viewing. Zoran, if you happen to stop by and actually listen to this, thank you so much for bringing this up, and I hope you enjoyed some of these ideas. I hope you send me a little bit of feedback. I'm not asking for a handout, not asking you to even comment or do anything else. I'm not even going to mention the L word, meaning that button down there. Don't touch it. I will say thank you for bringing this up, and I didn't know that Planetside 2 was in such a harsh spot, but I'm really, really hoping that it recovers because I love this game. And I don't want to see it fall. So guys, thanks again for stopping by. Hopefully I'll see you out on the beautiful battlefields of Araxis. If not, I will definitely see you all next round.